it and I can't take it back now. But look, I'm going to move on to the final topic on the show tonight, and it's all about David Fincher. And David has been out, of course, he's got Mank out with Gary Oldman, and he's been out speaking about the future of film and how it's not all depressing and the end of times as we know it. He thinks that film is definitely going to have a place in the future, and there's going to be a new era, a new wave of fine filmmakers and just auteurs and cinematographers that will come and rejuvenate it, put their own stamp on it, give us something different. And I completely agree with every word the man says. I'm not going to read all of the quotes because they're very lengthy, and he can talk a bit like me. Funnily enough, this guy knows more about cinema than I will ever know, though. And this is what he's had to say. Look, I believe that the tragedy of cinema today is that we're only 100 years in, and we think we know exactly what it is. We really don't. What we've done is merely refined it, an experience to a story, which is the hero with 1,000 faces over and over again. We beat this drum that we have reached the limits of what cinema can do, make us feel, talk about. I would be inordinately depressed. I'm not. I'm emboldened. I feel that I don't need any more published screeds of me talking about how unfair it is that Marvel wants to make a profit. I don't have an issue with that. I've never had an issue with that. And this is what he goes on to say, and this is the more pertinent quote, really. Pertinent's the word of the night, clearly. There's this notion that movies are dying. They're not. There's still minerals to mine, there are still jewels to be found, there are still different ways to be shocked, entertained, uplifted, terrified. They're just changing. You change with them. I think anyone who, like me, is curious about how to impart their story, there's going to be plenty more opportunities, at least in the short term, and depending on how long this pandemic goes on, there may need to be a lot more. Look, cinema and film will never die. Humans for millennia have shared the communal experience of going and being awed by performance, by art. And for millennia, people have wanted to create art, be it on walls, be it on stages, be it in a coliseum, murdering somebody, dismembering them into 20 million pieces, or be it as a great director or actor. People have always had that urge to go out and create art, and it's not going to die because a pandemic came. We had a pandemic 100 years ago, and it didn't kill humanity then, and it was much worse than this one, and it didn't change the way we lived. We rebounded and came back. Film get better. And just like in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, new waves of directors come up and they replace the greats and they become great in their own like. We've had the likes of Coppola, Lucas, Spielberg. Before them, the likes of, I don't know, man, you can go all the way back. Even Sidney Poitier was doing directing. You can go all the way back to the greats, man. You can go forward to the likes of Nolans and, I don't know, Tarantino and Greengrass. Coen brothers, the list is endless. There has been generations of new directors coming through, and they impart their own style, their own vision on filmmaking, their own sort of unique way of telling stories differently and rejuvenating it for a new generation, putting their own sort of unique things into it, man. So it's not going to die. I completely agree with Fincher. He's bang on. Fincher, Christ, there's a name. As I was struggling to go back and think of names, man. Jesus Christ, my memory is like a 90-year-old with borderline Alzheimer's. It's terrible at times. It's very late though, so I have to give myself a break. But look, what I'm saying is, man, he's absolutely bang on. People are beating the sort of the doom drum, thinking the world is going to end, and it's not. Cinema's not going to end, and all of these theatre companies that are on their knees just now will survive and live to see another day, and we'll be back in theatres enjoying films. But look, I digress, man.